Hey there, creative people. I'm Bloomzeye. I'm a new indie game developer and artist, and this is how I learned pixel art for the first time and made my first indie game, Bumble. The game is done but not released yet. I'm still just getting stuff together, and you can actually go to the itch.io page where I have the game page coming soon page. So it has all the it has a video up, it has some GIFs, it has some images, animations, and all the information for the game. So you can go there and check it out and follow it and save it or whatever, favorite. How I don't know how itch.io actually works, but it's there. You can see it and go to it. I keep saying that. Bumble is a game where you play as Q the bee, a small yet curious and adventurous bee who gets trapped in a bubble and needs your help getting home. The game is very short. It's my first game. I'm not trying to make a Metroidvania or anything like that, or the next Cave Story or Stardew Valley. Not yet, at least. I just want to make a fun little game, learn pixel art, and learn how to be a game developer, and I did. But this all started in one of my art groups where we were talking about art hobbies and things we used to do, and I mentioned for some reason that I used to make board games when I was younger, and I didn't start back on doing that, just I remembered it. I'm like, oh, kid stuff, or just old art stuff, not kid stuff. Art is art. But I was encouraged, and they kept on asking me questions about board games and how they're made, and what if I want to keep doing them. So I started getting curious and encouraged again about board games. So I was researching game design, game art, game story, gameplay, and then I found someone's YouTube video about board game design, and then but they were also an indie game developer. So I'm like, wait, you can make your own indie games by yourself? Because most games I played were by AAA studios or just with teams of people. So I didn't think or consider I can do it on my own, or at least my first couple games by myself. So encouraged with that new knowledge, I started thinking seriously, what would it be like for me to make not a board game, but a video game, a computer game? So as I start getting more curious and encouraged, I kind of get a whole concept down. But with everything I do, everything starts with a sketch, a scribble, a doodle, just something where I can see my art come to life on the paper before I get into the digital space. So here are the sketches of Bumble. So one day I was sketching at a party, get-together, family thing. I didn't know these people. I was kind of shy and nervous, so I decided to just do what I do best and sketch something. Now, I thought about what maybe in my mind I was going to do all the things I was learning about game design development, and I started sketching my own little mini game, or at least the characters and the levels. And before I knew it, I had created basically a one level, one look, one whatever type of little mini game. And there was a bee and a bubble and birds and flowers. And before I knew it, I had a pretty interesting, or at least for me, game concept. And afterwards, it didn't take me too long to get into Adobe Illustrator, my art program of choice, because that's what I'm familiar with. But as I was designing in Adobe Illustrator, I saw my design from paper to digital art and it looked fine, but something wasn't clicking. So I've been using Adobe Illustrator for years, since my college days when I was first taught it, till afterwards for freelance gigs, whatever, my own stuff. And I really enjoyed it. I liked the simple bold colors, how scalable it was, but for this game, for my first game, vector just wasn't cutting out. For me, I realized that Adobe Illustrator was a safe spot for my designing, and I'm already making a video game, so I wanted to get even more outside my comfort zone for whatever reason, and I wanted to discover a different type of art for my game. So I looked into 3D modeling art, I looked into 2.3D realistic art I would do in Photoshop or something, but it still wasn't clicking until, of course, I came across pixel art, and that pretty much was yes, because not that pixel art was easy, it made me have to rethink how I saw art, or how I usually did my artwork and art style. So definitely something new to learn, and I really enjoyed it actually. And that's how I discovered Sprite, a pixel art and animation program that I really, really, really enjoy. I liked Sprite, for, if I'm even saying that right, because it was affordable, it had a free trial version that was pretty cool. It had really good documentation and YouTube videos and a user base and a community, And again, it was affordable, like less than $30 for me. That was cool to pay, a one-time fee, amazing. And so I started practicing my animation in Sprite and illustration and design and seeing how that works in a pixel art style, a whole new ball game from my usual vector art style, because pixel art, you have to sacrifice some things to keep like it's simple and maybe smaller, not overcomplicated, but overall I really like the art style. Yeah, my timeline looks like a fresh hot mess in my pixel art stuff, because I would do something in my in Sprite and realize there's a shorter way to do it, and so I'd redo it sometimes, and then like I'm going a long way and all this stuff. But finally I got to my final character designs for Kiwi, and I was really happy about that. So I've been in Sprite for a hot second. I figured out Kiwi's design, and this is kind of like how I kind of landed on it. First of all, she's a bumblebee. That's very obvious. She's yellow and black, and she has a stinger, but it's broken. And she also has her green flower bag. That is where she gets her namesake Kiwi from, because if you squint and look back and you hold a kiwi up, it looks like a kiwi. So that's where she got her name from. Someone in my art group suggested, was like, oh, is she named after the bag? I'm like, oh my gosh, she is now. And that's what happened. My first pixel art was made in a program called Pixel Art. Instead of an E inside the word pixel, it's an I, so it's Pixil art. It can get a little confusing. And it was another free program I found on the App Store, and also there's a web version, a free version, whatever. And I made my first bee in there. And after I designed her, and she's small. She's the smallest bee compared to the other bees. I didn't draw them, but she's just small. Trust me on that. And after her design was finished, I then got to the animation of everything. I am very happy with how it turned out compared to not knowing anything beforehand. So I started animating the enemy birds and the flowers, and that's pretty much it, because I want to keep this game super simple. I knew I would have a lot more to do in Unity, which I'll be talking about in a second. But the other designs I made in Sprite was the cursor for the game, like your mouse cursor. Kiwi's health icon, so it actually blinks and moves in the game. And the score icon, that doesn't move or anything. I'm trying to keep it simple. But I'm really happy with all my animation, because I feel like if I can't do a bunch of big animations, having a bunch of little animations can really add some fun stuff to the game. And then when you put it all together, I like it. I'm very proud of it, actually, because when I see this, I think to myself, compared to my sketch that I showed in a video or that you can see on my website or wherever, I've come a long way with understanding how pixel art works and the dimensions and the quality and the colors and the shapes. So I'm super happy with how I've done so far. I think if you play my game, you'll enjoy it too. I also got more courageous and made the actual end scene. Originally the game was going to be just how many points can you rack up until you die, but I decided, you know what? Kiwi needs to win this. She needs to get home. You need to get Kiwi home, because I didn't think I would make a game this long or even try to do it, but you know what? I went hard. I kept on going. So Kiwi does get home in the game to her hive, and you see her go in her hive, and if you win and you survive the game, which isn't that long because I don't want to make it too hard, you will see Kiwi's home. And this is how I learned Unity, the game engine I choose to make my games in, because 1, it was free. I don't have no monies. 2, it has really good documentation. I don't understand it, but it's good. I know it is. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube, and Unity has this thing called Unity Learn. I've done some of them unless I got stuck, but it had just a bunch of learning resources, and this is how I learned Unity and how I'm still learning it. So first off, I always ask myself, what is my current step, or what is my next step in my process when I finally got into Unity? So for example, if I was needing to make Kiwi move up and down, I would research that, and then I would see, oh, it includes the y-axis. So I had to keep on researching, going deeper into all that stuff. And then I got to reading the documentation. Probably mix up my steps, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. I'd read Unity documentation, and there's a lot in there, so that's why I went only what I needed in that moment, not reading the whole thing. I wanted to, but it's just too much. And of course, you find a YouTube tutorial or 3 or 5 or just a whole bunch of them. I have a whole nother, I now have a YouTube, like a bunch of playlists for Unity and a Sprite animation. So just keep, cause someone has done a video on what you're needing probably. And of course, Google it, web search it, Bing it, Firefox it, whatever you can do. Someone has had the exact same question and problem that you have or that I have, and it has been answered, or like it's being discussed. You can always like ask the question again. You don't understand it for your perspective. So I learned Unity. I'm still learning it. It was hard but not impossible, and I'm all about doing what's possible, at least for me. And I wanted to learn Unity and do like a more difficult route because 1, it's new. 2, I want to understand how a programmer would use Unity and how I would communicate with them. I also want to understand like what they're going through, what difficulties they may have, because I might be able to help them or do like, because if I've teamed up with someone, and overall just understand. So learning Unity was interesting. I'm still learning it. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you're still watching or listening the whole way through. I also update my Twitter and my Instagram pretty regular, like weekly, just so I can like do updates and announcements and whatnot. And you can also subscribe to this channel if you're on YouTube or you're listening to a podcast. This is in podcast mode. You can subscribe to my podcasting channel, just wherever I am, just so you can stay updated because I don't have any schedule right now. Not yet, at least. But I'm Bloomzeye. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you creative people later.